All right, so the Tiguan is throwing some codes. Front assist is not available. And I got lights on the dash. Hey everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to the channel. This is not the video I wanted to make, and in fact, I had considered postponing this for a later date, but I gotta be transparent, but it's not about the error messages that I just received on my vehicle a couple of nights ago. It's something a bit more concerning. Something that isn't going to give me a lot of reassurance about my second Tiguan, or any Tiguan for that matter, if you do own an SEL R-Line Turbo, regardless of build dates. Now, let's first address the warning issues that came up on my dash. The first one was the front assist. The second error message was emergency SOS. I'm trying to see how that's connected. And then the third one, there was a third one that did pop up as I was entering the highway, was the traffic sign recognition error message. It was disabled, and it wanted me to clean the windshield. So as you can tell, my Tiguan is looking kind of clean today, and I washed it, so that way maybe the sensors were just a bit dirty, and that's why the error messages did pop up. Because if you have owned Volkswagens in the past, that's kind of normal if you do live in colder regions of the US, where on older Volkswagens, the snow would cake up here, and then you wouldn't have that front assist. So I'm hoping that that kind of addresses that particular issue. However, what I find more concerning is what my local Volkswagen dealerships told me about the SEL R-Line Turbo and the faulty turbo issue that we're all dealing with right now, because none of us are out of the woods just yet. Now, I wanted to make an update video to my prior video on all of this, where it wasn't just gonna be conjecture, it wasn't gonna be anecdotal evidence. I was gonna go to the dealerships and ask about those build dates. And in fact, a few of my contacts did tell me that you're kind of on the money there with the build dates to ask those questions, but Volkswagen doesn't know which models are affected. So that's gonna be the topic of today. And also I'm gonna talk about my SEL R-Line Turbo, because I'm noticing some patterns with this model that I had with my first one. Over the past 2 weeks, we have seen a number of SEL R-Line Turbo owners sharing their stories. And it's not just them owning the vehicle for 1, 2, or 3 months and then the turbo goes. It's now they're getting antsy. They've been waiting 4 weeks. They've been waiting 6 weeks for a turbo replacement. They want an update. So they're contacting your local dealerships, and they're also contacting their regional Volkswagen corporate offices, primarily up in Canada. On the surface, this seems to be a Canadian problem, even though a lot of Americans are also dealing with this as well. Now, up in Canada, Volkswagen Canada has been very proactive with their owners, offering a compensation package. So you get an additional 1 year, 20,000 kilometer warranty, and there's also reimbursement. I don't know if that covers the rental car fees or if it's covering like 1 month of ownership if you finance. I really haven't taken a deep dive into that since I don't live up in Canada, and we don't receive that here in the US. Now, dealerships down here have been doing a lot on their end, whether it is giving you a loaner, which is covered, that's all free. And then in my case, and I have seen this in other cases as well, they're taking the Tiguan back and they're throwing you into another Tiguan, which is why I stopped by some local dealerships just to get an idea of whether this model is also going to be affected. And well, this leads me into the answers that I received. So right now, with this turbo issue, dealerships don't know what it is. Neither does Volkswagen corporate. It could be the wastegate, which has popped up a lot on Reddit forums and on Facebook ownership groups. They also think it might be a software issue, and they're waiting for a software update. Now, if you think about that, that sounds all well and good, but this is now February. If they don't know what's causing this, then how are they still making these vehicles? How are they still making SEL R-Line turbos and rolling them off the assembly line? Because that means that December, January, possibly February is also affected if they don't have a fix. Now, you also have a turbo replacement back order, which is taking 2 months, but it seems as though people are waiting even longer than 2 months. And to be quite honest, if Volkswagen doesn't know what the problem is, dropping in a turbo replacement doesn't guarantee this is going to fix the issue. In fact, you could get that turbo replacement, pick up your Tiguan thinking, all right, I'm going to be back on the road. This is going to be just fine. And then maybe 1, 2, or 3,000 miles down the road, you're back in the shop with the same issue. Volkswagen doesn't know. That sounds great, doesn't it? What they also don't know is what models are affected. They don't know what batches were affected or not, which means all this conjecture, all these theories as to whether, well, September is fine, but October, November, maybe December isn't good. This is all just, we're hoping and praying now. I mean, we're just throwing darts at a board thinking, all right, this could be it, when in actuality, every single SEL R-Line turbo that's ever been made could have a faulty turbo, and we're just waiting for it to go. Now, it could be the cold weather is exposing a weakness with this turbo, or maybe throwing off the sensors, because in the southern regions of the U.S., no one's complaining. People in California, people in Nevada, Florida, Texas, there's no issues. You see them in the forums, they're like, I've been driving mine for 4 months, I have 5,000 miles on the odometer, I'm all well and good. Now, maybe it is a cold weather problem, but we haven't yet got to summer yet. We haven't yet experienced the heat of that summer, which means could a Tiguan turbo or the sensors survive a heat wave of 5 days of 100-degree weather? We don't know yet. We really don't know. We could be seeing an influx of turbo owners having the same issue in the spring or summer. So it's just a waiting game. But I'm going to say this, right now I'm not feeling very confident with this Tiguan. Now, getting into the information that is being shared on Reddit, on Facebook, and now making its way into my DMs, is information that allegedly is coming from Volkswagen Canada and what Volkswagen Canada is telling their customers. And I gotta be honest here, if Volkswagen Canada is saying this, for one, it sounds like they want to ease concerns. But then two, this is very irresponsible because what is being thrown around there, I don't think is accurate. So from what I've seen, it's that Volkswagen Canada has identified the problem, that there were 2 suppliers for this turbo, and that they found out which supplier was bad, and moving forward, everything is going to be fine. What I'm hearing down here in the US isn't the case. They're also saying that only 5% of Tiguans are affected, which sounds like a very small problem, a very isolated problem, that everything is fine, right? Only 5%. But what they're probably not diving into is that the SEL R-Line turbo makes up 5% of sales for the Volkswagen Tiguan. So just for example, down here in the US, Volkswagen sells, give or take, about 10,000 Tiguans a month. And the SEL R-Line turbo just arrived in around mid to late October. Now, 5% of 10,000 is 500. Now, 500 units per month would get you to, what, are we now 4 months in, probably like 2,000 units, right? Then you cut that into 5% again. It would sound very isolated, but based off of how many people who are complaining, and the fact that even at my dealership, there's 3 R-Line turbos down, the small dealership, who really knows how many are truly affected? I mean, even if you get to 500 and 5% of 500, that's such a small number. That is a very small number, and I think we have seen more documented cases than that small number. Volkswagen, they're not stupid. Volkswagen Canada isn't stupid. They're going to give out that number, 5%, and make you think everything is going to be fine. And I don't think it is. They have no handle on this situation. They don't know what's going on. The master techs don't know what's going on, and there's no fix. There's no fix. So really, like I said before in my earliest videos, I think my premonitions were correct. We are all sitting in ticking time bombs here. We don't know when something is going to go. And that's why with my warning lights that popped up a couple of nights ago, I'm really concerned because this could be the precursor to something a bit bigger, something that is going to follow the same lines as my first Tiguan. This now leads me into Tiguan number 2. So I am now 3 weeks into ownership. I'm a couple of days away from a full month. I know, right? Let's celebrate. But ironically, it's 3 weeks in where I'm now noticing the warning lights. And this isn't the first time I've seen these warning lights in a Volkswagen Tiguan SEL R-Line turbo. On my way down from Maine, I had the same issue, but they cleared relatively quickly. And my thought is, just like with this time, that it was just the sensors were covered in road salt. But having owned Volkswagens in the past, I know road salt doesn't affect the sensors. It's snow. It's snow that builds up on the front fascia. It's snow that builds up on those sensors. So what the heck is going on here? That's why I feel like I'm heading down this same road. But what's more concerning, though, than the error lights and the error warnings was my drive earlier that day as I was going to my destination that I was coming home from when those warning lights popped up. I'm on the highway. I'm on a 4-lane highway, and there's a bus to my right. And I didn't have the power to pass it. Usually with a vehicle like this, there's enough mid-range torque where you don't need to floor it to pass someone on your right. So you can just feather the throttle, you can get into the throttle, and you'll be flying. You can easily get from 60 to 80, no problem. You don't need to drive aggressively. I couldn't do that here with the Tiguan. And I noted that immediately. I'm like, oh no, here we go. I'm very hypersensitive now to this, because I've been there, I've done that, and I'm like, this isn't good. But I let it slide. I'm like, maybe it's just one of those things. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I didn't apply enough pressure on the gas pedal, because up to this point, it's been driving phenomenal. But then when I was going home from a friend's house, and these warning messages pop up, I'm thinking, all right, here we go. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of it. And I'm very concerned because I have a busy week, and I can't afford to spend more time at my local dealership. So this is something I'm going to be focusing on quite a bit. I'm also postponing my 1,000 mile ownership review because let's hope we can get to 5,000. Let's hope we can get to 10,000, because based off the information that I'm hearing, where they don't have a handle on this, it doesn't come down to build dates. I thought it was. I was kind of feeling confident where I'm like, I'm going to go to the dealerships. I'm going to get those build dates. I'm going to share that information. And I don't have that. Then also, Volkswagen USA hasn't told their dealerships anything. So the dealerships are getting frustrated because they don't have information or answers to tell us. So Volkswagen dealerships have about as many answers as we do right now. So everything that you're seeing, it's all conjecture. It's all like hoping that things are not going to get worse. It's all hoping that Volkswagen has a handle on this. And I really thought, to confirm what I was seeing, that Volkswagen is moving forward. And they're not. In fact, it's the same story that it was 5 weeks ago. Now, this leads me into probably the most important section of this video. And this is not advice. This is just an opinion. If you can get out of your SEL R-Line Turbo, whether it's forcing Volkswagen to buy it back, forcing your dealership to buy it back, lemon law, or if you get your Tiguan back with a new turbo, just sell it. Or if you have no issues with your SEL R-Line Turbo, sell it. Because eventually you might have an issue. And when you do have that issue, you'll be joining a 2-month wait. You'll be joining the long list of SEL R-Line Turbo owners dealing with this problem. Now, like I said, this is not advice. And I would typically listen to what I'm saying here. But since I'm doing this as an automotive journalist, as I'm doing this because I want to see this through, I'm going to stick this out. I'm going to wait and see if I get a check engine light, if I get a limp mode. But based off of what I'm hearing from the dealerships, based off of what I'm hearing from other owners, and also some things that have me even more concerned, I'm like, I'd be out. I'd be out. The quickest way out, I would do. I would seek it, honestly. And again, that's not advice. That is up to your discretion right now. But if you can, no matter what you can do, I would say get out of the SEL R-Line Turbo until Volkswagen fixes this problem. I have people in my DMs saying, Mike, I want the SEL R-Line Turbo. And it's tough because I want to say like it's a great product. But now I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't know if it was on YouTube. I don't know if it was on Reddit. Someone was saying that SEL R-Line Turbos are now arriving at dealerships in limb mode and also having check engine lights and a Christmas tree on the dash. I'm thinking, oh, come on, this can't be possible, right? Brand new vehicles already in limp mode. And having experience in the automotive industry, I do know that vehicles have like a delivery mode, for a lack of a better term, but that's typically for exotic cars and high-end luxury vehicles. But for mainstream vehicles like a Volkswagen Tiguan, there would be a delivery mode, but it would limit your features on your head unit and your digital gauge cluster, and that's all cleared during a PDI or pre-purchase inspection. So, like, I wouldn't be concerned about that. But someone in my DM said they went to check out a Volkswagen Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo in Massachusetts. Okay, so now it's local. And they couldn't check it out because it was in the shop. And they were trying to clear the code. They were trying to clear the Christmas tree lights on the dash, which is telling me it's correct. Tiguans are now arriving in limp mode. They're now arriving like this. So that would further back up the fact that Volkswagen doesn't have a handle on this. They don't know what build dates are affected. And the fact that this could cover every single SEL R-Line Turbo ever made. I was hoping for better news. I was hoping to make a video telling you guys that if you own a vehicle that was built in September, built in October, you're fine. I can't do that now. I can't do that now. So where we're at right now is anyone's guess. And that's why I say that if you can, get out of this vehicle. Run. Run as fast as you can. Run as far as you can. Get away from this product. And I think you're going to be happier in the long run. Because for those of you who are going to stick this out, you're going to be spending many months wondering, is my vehicle going to be next? You're going to be wondering, all right, if I'm on a road trip, is this going to happen? And right now, looking at the odds, I say it could happen. It's not 5%. That 5% number can be thrown out. It's a lot higher than that. And it just comes down to how many are affected, how many are a ticking time bomb. And right now, looking at my Tiguan, knowing that 1225 isn't safe, and I'm now getting warning lights, I could be joining you guys once again. So that's unfortunately my update here with the Tiguan. And looking at the patterns with Tiguan number 2, yes, I've made it past 1,000 miles, but am I going to see 2,000, 3,000, 4,000? That's anyone's guess. Guys, I don't want to say I hope you enjoyed this video, but thanks for joining me once again. You know, I mean, no one has information. No one has information. The dealerships don't. Volkswagen Corporate doesn't. Whatever's being shared from Canada, I'm not treating it as fact. I'm not even treating it as anecdotal evidence. And I'm just going to see where this goes. Because right now, I think Volkswagen has a cluster bomb on their hands, for a lack of a better term, or for a family-friendly term for this channel. But, yeah, this isn't looking good.